in that third
Yeah, I think
spot.
a lot of teams, they started being like, dude, Lich is good. What if we pick Sven and give physical
God.
resistance to everyone as
Oh,
opposed to one hero?
yeah.
But
No.
that is not the answer. I think Sven is a not a good support right now, especially after the nerfs. But even before the nerfs, I was all very much on the fence. And I don't know if you and I were casting a series, but there was, I think it was Forward Gaming. We're picking like first base Sven for like
Yeah.
3 games straight, and my mind was in shambles because I don't know. Like the hero is
10
good
seconds remaining.
against like 4 physical damage dealers where you can actually make use of the war cry.
5 seconds
But if you
remaining.
just need one hero to be resistant, then I think Lich is generally a better answer.
Yeah, no, it might have been us actually, because that does ring a bell. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think we just talked about this
Radiant
yesterday on our
team
cast too.
back.
And I was having stats to back it up. Both ESL and MDL. I think in MDL he went like 1 in 12. It was some horrendous stat.
Yeah.
And
he did bad
ESL
at
was like
ESL
it
also.
was ESL like 30% win percentage. So it's the hero. As I said there, I do think is overrated. We are seeing less and less of it finally. But yeah, that's a whole other discussion. Terrorblade. Picked up here after the Darkseer comes out from Nemiga, but we do have
5
that
seconds
Terrorblade
remaining.
versus Phantom Assassin matchup. This is something again right after 7. This feels like a right after 7.20 patch game, even though we're 2.5 months down the line. But they're confident with the Terrorblade in this case.
Yeah, and it's gonna be laning against the Darkseer, which is not a great situation for Terrorblade. Terrorblade is a hero who is notorious for his extremely high armor, and I think, I mean, initially, I'm sure it came into their head because it was a
10
response
seconds
to
remaining.
the offlane Prophet, which Terrorblade is good against offlane Prophet,
5
but
seconds remaining.
they end up picking it up after the Seer, and they go for it anyway. Um, I'm curious as to why they're so confident in him. I mean, maybe it's just because they want against the Phantom Assassin, or it could be mid. I think it's unlikely, but it could potentially be a mid TB.
Reflection is really good against PA too. We've seen
Yeah.
instances where she not kill herself necessarily, but it hurts her. It hurts her quite a bit. So I think that right there is, yeah, I think it's the PA matchup for sure is the biggest thing. You know, he can get over the Darkseer lane in the sense that he just goes to the jungle sooner than later
Right.
and recovers.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they really just wanted to go with the Terrorblade option. In the long run here, Dream likely the one to play it. They're thinking of the final ban though. You figure Nemiga, with the way their draft's looking, probably needs a mid hero still. And okay, they banned Huskar.
Team picked.
I want to give it up to them. There you go, MK. The Monkey King.
I wonder if that was like a preemptive response to a potential Conka mid from Nemiga.
Sure.
Because I don't think anything's particularly strong about Monkey King this game, but
10
it
seconds
shuts down
remaining.
basically any melee that Nemiga wanted to potentially send mid,
5
or the potential
seconds
mid PA.
remaining.
Like I said, in the previous game when they picked Mag PA, they did end up sending PA mid. And so if Nemiga thought that they had an X factor by, you know, throwing a curveball and picking some other safe lane hero, that has been shut down by Empire.
Choose your
And
hero.
Nemiga respond in kind with something equally unpredictable.
Yeah.
Mid Skywrath?
I was thinking maybe like a DK, but oh, Zirax playing it.
Zitrex Skywrath.
That has to be mid Skyrath. There's no way that's
I'm
not gonna
pretty
be.
sure, yeah, because you can't pick PA mid against a Monkey King. That seems like suicide.
Yeah, that just seems silly, and a safe lane Skyrath also just seems odd in itself. If you're gonna play this guy as a core, you want to get those levels
Yeah.
in the mid lane.
So I mean, I guess they like it against Monkey King, but that seems also very tunnel visiony because I don't think Skyrath is particularly strong against TB. TB is a hero that's more than willing to build BKB, more than willing to build a Manta style to be able
10
to,
seconds
you know,
remaining.
purge off the Skyrath route. That's really like whenever Skyrath
5
becomes
seconds remaining.
just too much to deal with. Once he gets Rod of Atos, then most heroes are not able to deal with it. And, you know, to its credit, Tiny, Batrider,
5
Glitch,
seconds
they will
remaining.
definitely struggle with it. Monkey King, I think, will be more than willing to build a BKB of his own. But the supports are definitely going to have a rough time this game. And the laning is pretty good as well for Skyrath versus a Monkey King. It's just that I don't know if it's a good answer late game because as it is, you already have Terrorblade, you know, countering out your Phantom Assassin fairly well with Reflection, like you mentioned. And Skywrath
Yeah.
is not an answer to a Terrorblade in the late game.
Yeah, well, I mean, kinda. The damage does it can scale somewhat decent with intense magic damage. Gets him in a Mystic Flare, for example, but
Yeah, but I mean, I think the issue is yet again Nemiga are going to struggle with initiation because it's an Astral Magnus, and so Skywrath, like, there's no one that anyone in Empire needs to initiate on other than the Skywrath. Every other hero is under control from Nemiga. Like Phantom Assassin is under control from the Terrorblade. The Darkseer is not really going to be able to do that much in terms of scaring a Terrorblade other than just with Wall, but even that's not that big of a deal. So Tiny, Lich, Batrider, and the Monkey King can all put 100% of their targets on the Skywrath, and that's a terrible position for Skywrath to be in. He usually likes having some really tanky core in front of him that he can just, pop off like 5-6 Mystic Flares with once he gets an Aghanim Scepter as well and the talent, and be able to stay really, really far back from the fight and make sure that he's well protected. But he doesn't have anyone in front of him this game. It's really going to be Darkseer at its best, but Darkseer is very easily ignored by heroes like Tiny and Batrider.
well, here we go. This is a do-or-die game for Nemiga as we do hop into the third game. Again, best of 5, Empire up 2-0. That's what we're working with here. It does complete kind of this 4-1 strategy for the Radiant side. The final point there of Skywrath mid going to be more of this early tempo, by the time, the space for the PA, and then let her do her thing in the later game. But as we've kind of gone back to, the matchup against Terrorblade, not the greatest in the later game either. So, yeah, I do lean towards Empire as well. Just trying to make sense of the Skywrath pick in the long run here from Nemiga, but it is going to be an uphill climb, it seems like, although the laning phase setting up to be decent. Let's see how he manages. Is he going to go that Rod of Atos? I know this is a hero that also benefits from that. It sets up Mystic Flare, the Rod of Atos, and that's been an item that, Viper, of course, the big one lately that we've seen is you'd expect to see the Rod of Atos here.
I think there's no reason not to go for it. I mean, you may see like a Veil earlier on or something like that if he wants to go aggressive on like a Terrorblade or something like that, but there's an immense value in the Rod, especially for the mid game. Like I said, the late game it becomes a little bit of an issue because there's going to be so many purges on that Terrorblade being able to Manta Style and stuff like that, but early on I think it's just way too useful, and it tanks you up quite a bit. So the second I see one crown in his inventory, then I'm convinced.
Yeah, of course. At that point, yes. He's already tossing people. He's tossing bottom lane, Nature's Prophet, 3 stacks of the Napalm. He does have Magnus nearby,
it's a
but
solo kill basically.
yeah, there we go.
Oh man, and another toss.
There's another toss right there, and Maiden, he's gonna just put the auto attacks in. Gets another stack of the sticky Napalm, but Astral, I think, well, unless he gets another toss off. I don't think he's going to be able to, though. Nope, Astral walks away. See, he's still going to run after him, but yeah, doing a defensive tri-lane down here from Nemiga is what we're seeing.
And Darkseer is just going to consistently cut the wave. I don't know how long this is going to last. I think if you had to leave one hero down here, you're probably better off leaving the Magnus, because at least the Nature's Prophet can jungle as crazy and as unconventional as that comes in professional games, but I don't really think that they're going to be able to win this lane. Tiny Batrider is not a hero that you can deal with, I mean, not a lane that you can deal with, unless if you have really good ranged nukes. And neither the Nature's Prophet, I mean, I guess Shockwave at a certain point, but not in a tri-lane situation, so I don't really think it's in their best interest to run this defensive tri-lane for more than like 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah. Dream at the top lane, of course, doing his best with the Darkseer. See the Iron Shell's up on a couple, so it's not the friendliest for him, but doing what he can. More clever play going on here. I guess that's just the Treant's almost thought as a creep wave, but Treant's running after Tiny. Keeping him out of there. Speaking of the creep wave, pull it into the jungle off to the side. But now Fishman again going to be run out. Top lane. Darkseer behind the tower. Has Lich to deal with. Does have Surge, though, if he gets in a dire spot. But you do see Terrorblade 13-7 right now at this top lane. Darkseer 4-0. So, yeah, Terrorblade, he's managing just fine.
I'm actually surprised that Darkseer is cutting the wave so heavily. I think it would be more difficult for Terrorblade to deal with the constant Ion Shell spam in the lane, because Terrorblade, like I said in the draft, has really high armor, and so he is not very concerned about having to tank things underneath his tower. But he does have issue against magic damage, and so the Ion Shell damage will be very, very difficult for him to deal with. But, I don't know, maybe Darkseer is just too worried about the Lich support that he's just gonna try to get whatever guaranteed farm he can behind the wave, as opposed to trying to contest the Terrorblade in the lane.
Overall, CS is going great, though, for the Radiant side as a whole. Both PA and Skywrath doing well in the lane. Skywrath 15-8, Monkey King 10-1 in that mid matchup. Chosen One, he is getting really low here. He actually doesn't have Regen on him. So,
yeah, and he doesn't have mana for TP.
Yeah, is he just accepting death here? He has a Surge. He's maybe going to try to suicide, but he has to do it after a bit. Oh, no, he's going to be pulled back in. Maiden dies elsewhere, but Black Angel will finish the job. So, I don't know. I mean, he committed to getting those last couple of creeps, but sacrificing yourself for a solo kill on the Lich, that doesn't seem worth it.
Yeah, it's possibly that he miscalculated his mana or something like that, but he goes down. As a result, Batrider does go down. Fishman is a little bit too much, and now Seiyu also goes down. So this tri-lane is working out fairly well for them, I suppose.
Well, Maiden, he's still going back in, but another dagger to the face. Phantom Strike's going to be coming back up, so Maiden living life on the edge a little too much. Might fall over that cliff. Yep, the dagger, double kill for Sunlight. Seiyu gets in, but unable to get there in time with the TP. That was Batrider. He went back in, getting a little cocky, and Phantom Assassin cut him down as a result. So that PA, heavy start for her. As Kodos is dead. No, the stick. He's gonna stay alive. Mischief kind of missed there, but he's good. Getting low though. Again, Skywrath, not surprisingly, is winning that mid matchup.
Yeah, I think a lot is on the shoulders of Dream this game, because this bot lane isn't going nearly as well as I'm sure Empire were hoping, although now they might do a little bit of a play, seeing as how they brought Lich down here, and Sinister Gate has already been leveled, as we saw him use it against the Darkseer top, so Blackheart's Angel does get a successful rotation.
Yeah, no chance for a getaway there. Good job from the Lich indeed. It's just still crazy for me to think that this hero has a crowd control now. Like,
I was one that was very heartbroken when Chain Frost lost its mini stun ability, and so many times, you know, I'd see like a Sand King channeling Epicenter, and I would Chain Frost, and I'm like, oh wait,
doesn't do that anymore. Awkward, but no, you just have an E now that takes care of that for you, anyways.
Jesus, 7 stacks.
That's
really
a lot.
Kill him fast enough.
Oh, Maiden, he's committed for this. He's going to die, and the answer is no, Tsunami. In fact, Seiyu's also in trouble, tossing the catapult back on top of her, but she's going to be fine. Yeah, this Batrider, he's going a little too far with his limits. Second time now. As Monkey King, does he have a mischief? He doesn't. No way. Nope.
He tried.
That kind of hurts. That's a TP on cooldown now.
No, there's a rotation coming in, and Zitrak sticks around with a little too low HP.
Okay, at least they get a response, so that's got to feel good somewhat, but yeah, Monkey King will still have to walk back. All the way, the long journey ahead. But meanwhile, Terrorblade is free farming. Go back to that.
Yeah, I'm so surprised the Darkseer is still cutting the wave. Like, you know that Lich isn't in the lane anymore. You saw him go bot, you saw him go mid. But I mean, I'm pretty sure TB used Metamorphosis like at least like a minute ago, so it should be on cooldown. But Chosen One is, I mean, he is technically getting more farm by being able to farm the jungle and the creep wave. But this is primarily a strategy used against heroes who can't deal with CSing under tower. Terrorblade has absolutely no issues CSing under tower, but now at least with the Citrax rotation, maybe they can get a kill. Yeah, looks like they will.
He picked up that they didn't have any crowd control or TP stopper, but it obviously was just intense damage with the Mystic Flare especially coming out. So, yeah, good job taking him out. And then same thing as I made up with the Monkey King earlier, the point that that's a TP on cooldown now. Yes, he's going to resurrect and have to run back. Might just stop by in the jungle, so Darkseer is feeling more cozy now, sitting in the lane. Something else about the Monkey King I wanted to bring up is you have a lot of tree destroyers on this Radiant side, from Nature's Prophet to Skewer from Magnus to Darkseer. Like that could be an issue for him as this game moves on.
I think it's generally proven to be more. I mean, like the way Thompson plays it, it would definitely be an issue because Thompson is very, very dependent on sitting on trees. The way OG likes to play his Monkey King, but I think this Monkey King is probably going to be more grounded, and I don't really think, because I think OG plays it very initiation heavy. But Empire have a Bat Rider and a Tiny, and so I don't really think they need to find fights off of Monkey King's Tree Dance. They're better off just finding off of like lassos and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah. Here's that Magnus, the support. This is what a support Magnus does. Sits next to his PA, and he only has level 1 in power, though. Again, he's only level 3, so he's trying to soak up some experience, get more levels in it.
It's a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
Sunlight's more than willing to give up the experience now for the investment of more points in power. Although technically this is kind of taking food out of Darkseer's mouth because those are his camps that he's been stacking. But he's being able to successfully take down the tier 1 tower top, so not too big of a disadvantage now. Fishman on the bot lane will go down.
Sacrificing support for the team, but as mentioned, the top tower does fall for Nemiga. That's Skywrath. He's starting to move around a bit, and you'd expect that out of him, getting these early levels. He's still in that jungle, potentially trying to find maybe the Terrorblade, or and we see the Monkey King is even over there. The Terrorblade's actually in the right jungle, doing his own thing over there. There's scan comes out, not going to see anyone though, but yeah, the top portion of the map has been overtaken by Nemiga currently. At least with just Skywrath there for the time being. Astral's soaking up some farm in the mid lane. And they want to get him some more levels, specifically for the Empower.
I think you can get away with this as long as PA continues to play very, very greedily. Like, if Skywrath's not finding kills right now, then that's fine because it's creating space for PA, and it's putting pressure on the Terrorblade and the Monkey King. But it also means that Skywrath is not farming himself. And so, as it is, I think this hero is going to have trouble scaling in the late game. But, I mean, hopefully PA just goes like max greed. I got a Morbid Mask right now. I have no idea what she's planning on building.
Oh, the flats, for sure.
Yeah, but beyond that, like I'm curious as to if she's gonna get like a BKB early on, or if she's gonna go even greedier and get like a Battle Fury on top of this Empower. There are multiple options available for her post floods.
I think with a lot of these Magnus games, we tend to see the Vlads into the Deso even, or possibly the Vlads into S and a Y would be my guess. And maybe
yeah, but those are the things that are combat oriented, and I don't really think it's in her best interest to go for early fights.
Okay.
I think you let Skywrath and Darkseer and Prophet just make space on the map, and you just go like pure farm mode. I think that's Nemiga's best success case, because if she starts fighting early on, and it does look like she is going to go for the Desolator, then who's your late game solution for Terrorblade?
Yeah.
I mean, sure, with Battle Fury you farm pretty. With Empower you farm pretty fast, but I don't think you can outscale a Monkey King and a Terrorblade is now chosen one.
Oh, yeah, they were trying to catch up to him. They finally got him. That Surge almost kept him alive, but not enough. Mid lane, Sayu, he's in trouble. Zirax coming in. The Mystic Flare doing some good damage. RP going to be committed just for support Tiny. I don't know about that, but it does secure the kill. However, Zirax is now in trouble. He goes down. Monkey King flies in to do the job there, and obviously with the Darkseer death just before that, yeah, that was an RP committed, and now it's going to be mid-tower.
I don't know if Magnus remembered that his Shockwave brings people back, because he used it like a little bit after, or maybe it was on cooldown, but if he used that a little bit earlier, he would have probably kept Tiny in that Mystic Flare for a little bit longer, and would not have had to spend RP, but yeah, he goes down, and his mid laner goes down in return for a support Tiny, so not a good exchange at all for Nemiga.
Terrorblade Dragonlance pick up on him. He's going to fall back though and continue his farm in that right jungle, as Nemiga is going to do the push in the mid tower themselves. Obviously their tower stayed alive, but out comes that Frost Shield. It's going to mitigate plenty of damage and means the Radiant team may have to look elsewhere. In fact, bottom lane, Skywrath, he finds a solo kill. Hero's good for this. Finds it on the Bat Rider in that case. So well played there. Nemiga back to the middle. The Helm of the Dominator on Darkseer. They are still going to go for that mid tower, and looks like at this rate they are going to get it actually. No defense now from Empire. We are looking at a 4,000 net worth lead. I mean, that's a pretty hefty lead for 12 and a half minutes into the game.
It is, and definitely with, again, no Midas is being shown. It's an honest net worth lead, not like a deceptive net worth lead. But I think Empire are okay giving this up right now, because Nemiga, like even though they'll be able to take a lot of outer towers and the map will get very small for Empire, it's kind of hard for them to push high ground. At best, Nature's Prophet is just gonna have to create pressure elsewhere on the map, but being able to actually siege high ground is going to be a little bit difficult for Nemiga. It'll be easier because Phantom Assassin is going to be going for the Desolator early on, so whatever few hits she's able to get will do quite a bit of damage, but it's still, again, like, I don't think Darkseer is going to be enough of a frontliner for Nemiga, so Zitrax is going to go for the Rod, and again, try to create as much pressure, make as much room for this Phantom Assassin as possible, and make sure that this Terrorblade just can't be useful against her.
Well, there's the Deso. Mentioned the ATEL, so these key early items coming out for Nemiga. And Chosen One, he just continues to work down the mid lane. Almost just calling the bluff of Empire, says, if you're not going to defend this area, then I'll just keep going, I guess. But finally sees them making their way over.
I'm a big fan of all the sentries that Empire have placed. I don't know if they've been actually actively countering out anything, but that's the mentality that Empire need to have. And kind of the mentality that Nemiga should be having as well. They should be trying to place as much vision on the enemy jungle as possible. Nature's Prophet has 2 observers right now, and Nature's Prophet's a great hero in this situation because you can place wards in all sorts of weird situations and weird positions that the enemy won't expect. And I imagine that's probably why we see so many sentries on the northern and eastern jungles. But yeah, Kodos is actually going to go down as a result of this Rod.
Well, Zitrax go down now. Again, they're doing Roshan during this, by the way, so at least they're going to kill Skywrath, it looks like. Yep, the last of pull-in, transition to the bottom tier 1, so they're going to get the response. But Nemiga, slowly but surely, it's another reason why this Deso earlier on for Sunlight is pretty good, helping him kill Roshan in this case. They are going to make it happen. So that's going to be the Aegis, picked up by Phantom Assassin. And Empire has to be a little more scared now, knowing what they're up against. But if they can keep stalling somehow, more time for the Terrorblade in their case.
And the Monkey King. Monkey King is pretty far behind right now.
True.
That laning phase, Monkey King is not a hero who is used to having such a miserable laning phase. But he has roughly the same net worth as his Tiny, which is a terrible place to be right now. So I am wondering how they're going to shift the resources. I think it's still in Empire's best interest to give Terrorblade like 100% of your resources and just let Monkey King get whatever scraps are available. Like again, if Skywrath is finding picks on the Monkey King, that's fine, as long as it's not the Terrorblade. It's not great, but really Terrorblade is the be-all, end-all for Empire.
Yeah. That is true, though. Monkey King. There's a struggle here. We knew it was going to be a struggle on the laning phase. Hope for their sake that he can recover, but it's not been easy. All 3 cores on the Radiant side doing well together. Take a look at the odds right there. Favoring Empire, of course, already up 2-0 in this series. Overall series odds on your screen, but Nemiga looking decent here in game number 3 in terms of trying to climb back. You can head over to 1xbet.com. and place your bet on said odds if you like them. But we know the potential is there. You and I are both agreeing even that Nemiga, arguably the favored team going into this, but finding themselves again in that 2-0 hole at this time.
Yeah, if you just show me the bracket and then you show me these odds, I'd be like, what are you talking about? Because Empire kind of floated their way to the grand finals. Like I said, they had to buy in the first round, and then they 2-0'd Na'Vi.
On that real quickly, it actually wasn't even a buy. It was Pango won. Pango won that series 2-1, but then they unfortunately had to forfeit because they had a schedule conflict. They were playing in the ESL India qualifiers the next day, and they weren't able to make the Na'Vi match. So Empire, got a little bit of a freebie there in that sense. But
interesting.
It is interesting, yeah.
That's even worse than a buy then.
Exactly. The fact that they played and lost on top of that. But they smacked down Na'Vi, frankly. They 2-0 them. They played very well and they took full advantage of that opportunity. So that's why they're here. And a team that, again, technically was knocked out of this tournament is on the verge of going to the Super
What
Final.
a redemption story.
Yeah, it is quite the redemption story. It's not the longest event, to be fair. It's obviously just 3 series wins and you're in those Super Finals, but still, it's a pretty unique situation, no doubt.
I know. Young Peter Pandam is hyped about a best-of-7 final.
Oh yeah, he's
first time since 2014 in Dota 2, I think.
There was that post on Reddit, the flashback, the DK finals.
Yeah, I think there was one, or I think there was one more best-of-7 after that for the same like tournament, but the following year. But it is not a popular thing in Dota 2, and I think rightfully so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I think you get a pretty good idea of who the better team is in a best-of-5 situation.
Yeah, best of 5 for a finals, absolutely. It's understandable to do that, but yeah, best of 7 it's a little excessive. But again, these events are unique. WePlay doing some fun things with their tournaments, structures, etc. And why not throw it in here to this event, see how it's received, and go from there. But that's again going to be tomorrow. NIP awaiting the winner of this series to see who they get to play as. Oh, that was like an attempt to kill the Tiny, but Mystic Flare not really connecting, so he'll be fine. Let's come out of the pause, of course. What was Terrorblade building? We saw the Dragonlance. I'm guessing the Manta style. Probably.
Yeah, he's going for the Manta style. He desperately needs it against the Rod of Atos, because at least then he can start showing himself on the map. Right now, I don't think Skywrath has seen even so much as a conjure image from Terrorblade in like the past 5 minutes, because he's just evading the Skywrath at any cost. But once he gets the Manta style, then he can kind of, go in fairly confidently. It's still risky, because, you have to deal with Nature's Prophet potential Sprout, which is another kill box that you can't really Manta your way out of.
Yeah.
So there are still options to kill a Terrorblade post Manta style, but he needs that at the minimum.
Could have a little clash up here. Radiant team pushing, but Dire side checking out a little bit, choosing better of it. You're at a point in this game where, unless they're pushing tier 3, you do not want to get involved in a too big of a fight for Empire, so they do back off. Let it happen for free. Batrider's down there at the bottom. He's trying to finish those bots, and there we go, in fact. Does complete them to go with the drums.
I'm a little surprised that he went for the bots as opposed to something like a Yule's. I'm a big fan of Racecar Batrider, but like I don't really think he's going to feel safe using the BOTs to necessarily get around the map. And actually now Kodos might be in trouble.
Mischief initially.
Skywrath is not here though.
And yeah, without Skywrath, they just don't have enough damage threat to get that kill. Batrider here, lasso. They catch Fishman. They're gonna get the kill, but at what cost? Mystic Flare comes out. Terrorblade melts. The Ancient Seal silenced him. No chance of a Sunder. And that's not the trade you need if you're Empire. And so, of course, Nemiga wants to capitalize further.
I wonder who that toss was targeted to, because I think Tiny had the right idea. I think he was trying to toss the Terrorblade out of the Mystic Flare, but I think he ended up targeting the Terrorblade himself. Or maybe I think he was targeting the person who was right next to the Terrorblade, and the person who was right next to the Terrorblade had the opposite idea. He was like, it's cool, I'll split the Mystic Flare damage. Yeah. And Tiny was like, no, go away so that no one takes the damage.
Maybe. That's unfortunate either way. He did try, but not enough. That shows you right there, though. I mean, this a couple of things. One, that the damage of Skywrath is respectable, but two, Manta style. He needs that Manta style for sure.
For sure.
Get rid of the silence, the Rod of Atos, etc. Top lane, Batrider's coming in, but Skywrath, he's pretty fast himself, running 417 movement speed there, flapping those wings around. You're gonna have a Vlad's coming along for Nature's Prophet to go with his medallion. So this main support Nature's Prophet is doing a work. Blink finished on Magnus. Everyone's getting some solid items for Nemiga.
Yeah,
to the table.
Yeah, coming out for Sunlight. So I guess she ended up keeping it as a Morbid Mask let Fishman build the Vlads. And they're, I mean, I do think that Nemiga are on a clock, and they're making the right moves appropriately. They've taken all the outer towers on the top and the middle lane, only the bot lane remains. The Aegis is about to time out, but I think they got enough out of it, so it's not really any significant loss as it does now timeout.
Regeneration.
Yeah, they got plenty for sure. You weren't expecting them to push tier 3 by any means at this point, so.
No, definitely not, yeah.
The seeds of force.
Made use of it. 20-minute bounty runes coming out.
God, there are so many sentries as Fishman so close to the bounty rune, but
He's
not
like,
gonna
no,
get it.
reaching his arm out. Just grab it. Couldn't get it. Nice catch
Yeah,
there.
I'm really impressed. Poor Lich, dude. You see his net worth, though, and you can see his net worth littering the dire side of the map with all these little empty circles, but that's his job this game, just to make sure that Terrorblade feels as safe as possible.
Yeah, that's going to be your win condition if you're Empire. You're going to have to stall things out quite a bit in this game and let your Terrorblade get big. It's pretty simple strategy on paper, but it's hard to stop this early pressure as well. Sunlight, they're pushing. Frost Shield wears off. All 5 are here.
I don't think Astral has shown himself since getting this Blink Dagger, and so I'm not 100% sure if Empire know this, but they're going to start sieging high ground now. And, well, someone definitely needs to respond at this point, and I think Astral's still kind of hiding, so maybe they don't know.
This is where, yeah, you have to get some kind of response here. Even though it's not the most comfortable, there's no way you just give up tier 3, let alone racks at this bottom lane.
I mean, TB has meta. He's ready to fight. He just needs someone to initiate for him, and someone to make sure that Magnus doesn't initiate on him.
Batrider does not have lasso right now, so that's what's kind of stalling them. They do kill the tower. There's Seiyu jumping in. Chosen one. Chain of Frost hits. Crimson Guard going to be put out. Metaform popped by Dream. He's pulled in with the Darkseer combo. Pops the Manta style, but it's still too much damage. It gets under anything. He's dead. And even if he buys back, that means no meta. Not a fight looking good for Empire right now. They do get the kill of Darkseer, though. There's the buybacks, including Terrorblade as well as Lich, though. So they are trying to fight this. Look at that illusion, by the way. It's shredding a Maiden, and he ends up going down. The Mystic Flare puts down as well. Fishman going to die in the midst of it on Nature's Prophet, but on Astral, he's still waiting with that RP. Blink Dagger in a couple of seconds. See if he goes back in for something right here, maybe off to the left. Yep, he brings them back in. There's the cleave with the Empower. Maiden's going to fall for a dieback. Terrorblade's in trouble. The Sunder, it's not going to be. Oh, maybe it is enough. Battling. They get the kill. But he gets the kill on PA. Holy crap. It was enough.
Razor edge of life. I can't believe he actually survived that.
Wow.
Amazing.
Man. That's 33 armor for you.
Yeah, and a value buyback for sure. So Terrorblade absolutely makes his money back from losing that initial life very, very quickly on. But I guess a lot of that damage initially was mitigated by the Crimson Guard of Darkseer, and so during his first life, it's not surprising that he went down so quickly as we see a replay now. Zitrax, unfortunately, if he wasn't caught by that Boundless, which again, like a great Boundless by Kodos, being able to stun out 3 heroes, Dream would have for sure been dead. And so very well played by Monkey King, the Tiny as well. Overall, incredibly well synergized by Empire.
Yeah, and to go further with that, I mean, it's a team fight like that is also, everyone has to be committed to that idea, because if one of them is maybe like the Monkey King is like, I don't know about this, then none of that happens and it is a disaster. But you're right, that Balance Strike as well as the Wukongs and everything, the fact that he committed knowing that he might die, this is a bit of an all-in play, is what allowed for the barely to survive on Terrorblade.
Yeah, that kind of commitment is absolutely necessary. They do end up losing a tier 3, so Nemiga going to be able to take off the shrines, and that makes Roche a little bit easier for them, which as it is, Roche is already fairly easy for them. It's respawned. I believe that's the Dire Courier above it, and so Dire actually scouted out with the Courier, which is a very smart play. So they don't need to venture out of the base. They know that it's up, and I'm guessing if they don't see the Phantom Assassin on the map for a little while, then hopefully they can test it. Terrorblade's Metamorphosis is up, so they should be able to feel fairly confident going into the pit. But again, you do have to worry about a Magnus.
And this DD. This is just classic PA game with a DD spawning right in front of Roshan. Why not? And she's going to start beating him down, so I
guess they're not contesting this.
No, they saw it was up, as you mentioned, but they don't have vision over there right now.
And everyone's been off the map for a while, so at this point you're guaranteed, but they didn't go for it. I mean, I guess maybe Terrorblade did buy back, and so if he dies back, then that is probably not the game, but very close to the game, and so maybe they think that we don't need to go for, you know, a game losing or winning play right now. We'll just play out the next high ground, which, I mean, they haven't lost to Rax yet, so I suppose it's a more conservative option.
Well, they are going to have to defend their base, though. BKB is finished on Terrorblade. A key item for him. Monkey King gets his own BKB, so he's going to be a little more freedom, have more freedom even to get a Wukong's off and be useful.
Yeah, more than a power spike for them, it's a huge power dip for Skywrath.
Yeah, that's true. They're in an interesting spot. They have 3 heroes behind them.
Yeah.
They're trying to collapse.
Oh, I think they want to kill Skywrath, and then they can just sit on their BKBs for as long as possible. Or maybe they want to figure out what Magnus
Oh, hello, says he just runs right up to him. There's the lasso. It does catch Skywrath, but Terrorblade, he's locked down the whole fight. He can't get his Sunder off. The vacuum RP exactly does the job. The GG's come out, and Nemiga will stay alive here in this best-of-5 series. They take game 3, so still down 1-2, but again, staying alive, that's what matters.
Wow, that went from 0 to 100 real quick.
Sure did.
Okay, well, I mean, well played on both teams. That was a fantastically executed combo. Magnus had pretty much what? It was just Arcane Boots and a Blink Dagger. And
yeah,
that was all that he needed. Yeah, wow, really well played. I did not think that the game would end just like that, especially right after Empire completed 2 BKBs.
Yeah. You'd figure that's a moment of, okay, there's potential in this fight, but again, a dieback on Terrorblade at that point, he just simply got caught. The flank positioning was cute, it was clever. I mean, they got the jump they were looking for,
yeah.
But the angle that Terrorblade had to take to get there was the awkward part of it. And you could tell Magnus was ready to just say, go on Terrorblade, burst him down before he does a damn thing, and that's exactly what happened. So, good coordination by Nemiga. And like I go back to, they stay alive here in this final matchup now, 1-2 series, but have a chance now to keep climbing back. The Magnus PA combo opening works out in the end for them. Who would have thought? So, I'm Breaky CPK, joined by Tsunami once again, guys. Stay tuned. The Dota 2 Tug of War Radiant Edition tournament continues. The finals of the Eastern portion bracket. Can they keep staying alive, or will Empire be able to close it out? That's what we're going to find out next here with game number 4. Stay tuned, guys. We'll be right back.